muskeg. That means muskeg area.
There was plenty of wildlife, the water was clean, the air was clean, everything was clean.
All of a sudden the muskeg is contaminated. There was no such thing as contamination.
We have to understand that everything's interconnected and how they're interconnected and what can happen.
We can't pick medicines, we can't pick berries, we can't fish, so it's no good for the First Nation.
What's muskeg?
Moss. Soaked down moss, that's what it is.
Muskegs are sponges and they hold the water and maintain a water table.
You know, anything that comes out from the muskeg flows down to the creek. It acts like a filter. The muskeg acts like a filter, you know.
Muskegs are a necessary evil to retain the water.
There are times when it got really warm and really hot all summer and we don't have rain. There was always the muskeg and it always had water in it. It was never, you never found a dry muskeg any place.
Muskeg has been used for other means. I mean, we use it for cabins, for, you know, for insulation.
Out in the tropland, there was no such thing as Pampers, but we used moss. The old people used to use moss on their kids.
Some muskeg that was very deep and it was real spongy and it had a different color to it, kind of an orangey color, you know. And you picked that up out of the ground and you hung it up on the trees.
And you'd soften it until it was like big pieces of cotton batten. That's how soft it was. And they'd put it in a bag very similar to this. You see, this is a bag that one of my kids wear. This opens on the bottom. And when you open it from the bottom, you just go and you just reach up there and you pull out the soiled moss and that way the baby is always, you know, really snug and tight and never has to be exposed to the cold or anything.
I used to set rabbit snares behind my brother Philip's place. There's a muskeg behind out there and he had a trail out there. And my grandchildren would come and visit. I caught a rabbit and I brought it home and then, "That's a bunny," she said. What do you kill a bunny for? I said, "We're going to eat it. People eat these things." "Well, I can't eat a bunny."
Because everything that we have on Earth, it's all interconnected, you know. I mean, if we're going to have a problem with the winds or air, we're going to have a problem with water, we're going to have a problem with the ground, everything.
Well, it's been pretty dry, and you know, like I was telling you, there's not much rain, and the sun gets hotter every summer, and more forest fires, and the animals are disappearing or have gone to other areas.
Climate change is happening. When I built the Bennett Dam, my brother-in-law, he's a geologist, he said, they're creating a great big heat body up there, a big lake, he said, and that's going to cause a shift in the weather patterns. And we used to get Chinooks and that. And after they built that dam, the Chinooks quit coming. we started to notice the wind started to come more out of the west. Like there were certain things we started to notice were changing.
There used to be a lot of water in the springtime, but since then we haven't had much snow in the winter. And during the summers, hot summers, and the water evaporates and the water's going low.
The muskegs are a converter of carbon right now. But if you start drying them out too much, that carbon starts releasing, and it gets into the atmosphere, and all of a sudden we're creating another form of global warming. The other problem with dry muskeg is it starts to blow. Nothing holds it together. So pretty soon it'll all blow away.
There used to be nothing here, hey?
Nothing.
Just used to be just trees and all natural?
Yeah. Yeah, until they put the water line through here. There's a water line. That's why you've got that cut line behind there. Except they built it for the oil company. They didn't build it for the community.
Yeah. That's what they should have did. If they were going through here?
Yeah.
Build it
for the community.
Yeah.
You take a piece of muskeg, a healthy piece of muskeg, away from the pipeline and compare it to that, you will see a big difference. Big difference.
You know, with the clearing of the trees, you're allowing more sun to get at it, but at the same time, you're allowing the winds to blow a lot easier. And as the winds blow across the water or across the muskegs, it creates a more rapid evaporation rate.
The muskeg all around it used to be nice everywhere, you know, at one time. But the water was going down, and it affects a lot of animals, and the trees and the plants that are there, you know, they need water too.
So it's a combination of what's happening. You know, that's affecting the muskegs. You know, it's not only the withdrawal of the water by the oil companies surrounding us, but also the so-called natural happenings due to the fact that they're cutting more and more trees down and the winds are picking up.
People are putting this fresh water underground. How are they going to recover that fresh water? Freshwater table. It's got to come from someplace.
The rapid withdrawal of groundwater is obviously affecting the muskegs because that's part of the groundwater system.
I knew where I used to swim. Now I can walk across there, just dry.
I'd say it was healthy because you can walk any place in the muskeg and you can just dig a hole any place, and you can, as soon as you dig a hole and the water comes out and it just sits there like a little wee well. If you weren't close to a creek, the muskeg was the closest place to get water.
Fresh water to me is when I used to drink water from Groundwater Lake, where it had proper nutrients in that water, versus drinking a bottle of water where there's nothing, it's completely dead. That was our source of our means and ways of life, to drink that water, because it had certain nutrients in it, and that provided us better health.
There's absolutely got to be changes now that the plant, with all the pollution and all the chemicals flying in the air and then going down into the muskeg, it's got to be all changed. It's never going to be the same. Never, never, as long as that plant is there.
We were able to drink the water from that area. We can't now because of the disturbance and everything back there, up there.
most obvious concern is what's coming out of the sky. You know, not only acid rain, but the 1,304 other pollutants that are coming out of those smokestacks. You know, it rains, it snows, everything, you know, sort of goes into the lowland. Fills up the muskegs. Well, pretty soon these muskegs are handling all the pollutants that are running off the slopes of the high land. So of course it's got to be affecting the quality of the water. Like,
I'd say in this area, now that Nixon has taken over this area here, there's a lot of muskeg in there. Now that they are in there, I wouldn't even want to drink water from here or take any plants from this area. And that used to be my hunting area, but now since they're there, I don't know, they scare everything away.
We had trappers living along this Amico Road here. And I actually talked to one of the trappers, or he come and talked to me. Robert, he said, I went trapping here and I caught beaver that were as white as this paper. Something was going into their fur, some kind of chemical that was dyeing their fur. I never did trap there again.
Well, the animals that are getting sicker, and the animals that we kill for food, sometimes we'd find maybe sores on the outside of the animals, like deer, moose, and inside the liver, and there's white spots in the livers. Same thing with rabbits.
fish are poisoned. Too much mercury in them. And they're getting, you look at the skins, some of them, they're just red. Nice big fat fish and the skin is just red, their scales are red. And if you know anything about science, you know that fish is bleeding from the inside out.
When we go out and hunt a moose, rather than thinking about that moose having arsenic in the system, we used to go hunting and the animal would be very healthy because we know they eat certain herbs, plants and herbs. When we eat the meat, we get healthy from that.
The saddest thing of all is that we don't hear frogs anymore. I haven't heard a frog this year. And that really concerns me because now I notice like we have ant infestations where we didn't have them before, and maybe the frogs kept them in check, you know, or the birds that prey on the frogs. Like there's a chain, there's a natural chain. And I believe that chain is disrupted because the frogs are no longer around.
It's pretty scary, you know, after finding that the animals are being affected by the pollution. Because whatever they eat, whatever they drink the water goes through the liver, just like a human being, through the kidneys, you know. You know, there's medicines that are grown all over in the muskeg, every muskeg.
Yeah, those are harvest cranberries.
This is kinnikinnick.
These are very good. Labrador tea. Those are fresh now.
Cranberry.
This is Labrador. These ones.
You're allowed to eat them?
The Labrador tea.
Okay, there is a sacred area. Here's the area I circled over there.
With the plants?
Right in here is that medicine area. That's a lot of muskeg area. There is Indian medicine there. That should never be touched.
Well, in some areas that where the plants were, that I can remember, maybe within a year or two, they weren't there. I couldn't find them. You know, if somebody's sick and we needed that special plant, we walk there. We know where it's at. If it's not there, well, in the meantime, that person's getting worse and worse. So you have to go look for other area.
I know by the taste of these plants, I know by the smell of these plants, to make sure that these plants are clean.
The plants are kind of faded when they're right in the middle of the summer. In the springtime, they look nice and green and all that when they're growing, but they fade and not as strong as they used to be. It's losing the taste or whatever it's in the medicine plant, the roots.
Once you've destroyed the lands, they're pretty hard to bring back to the original state. I mean, Mother Earth will take 100 years to rejuvenate itself back to its normal state.
I can just imagine how it's going to look here and how everything is going to be affected. Animals, the plants, the water, the air, and the people. And to think about that makes me pretty sad. You know, I can feel it in my heart.
Because I do support the economics that are happening, but I also want to support the environmental concerns that people have.
Well, we can't stop them. There's no way we could stop oil plants building oil plants or SAGD. There's no way we could stop that because they're just going to go right ahead anyways. And what could we do?
Another thing about a moss and stuff like that, they're a natural filter for our land. This stuff here filters toxins, everything that falls out of our sky and cleans it.
This project is very important, and I believe that none of us really realize just how important it is. You know, because you're getting together one-on-one with elders that have actually seen and experienced this problem in their lifetime, and they've seen the changes in their lifetime. And this is information and knowledge that you can't get anyplace else.
Here, you're going to get caribou, a few caribou, as you get further down the hill.
Yes, this is all caribou.
What was your favorite thing to hunt?
I hunted everything. I carry a rifle today. At one time, this was one of the best fishing lakes in the country. But what's happening now with these fish is they're starting to show signs of lead poisoning and stuff, mercury poisoning, other poisons.
It's important to ground them. So if we talk to the young ones and we say the muskeg is a living plant, and this is what it's good for. Then as they grow older, they can observe what's happening to the muskeg and say, okay, this is what I heard, this is what's happening, and maybe we can try and look at how to solve the next step.
The bar. That's where all the action is. That's the bar. That's muskeg area, swamp area. You're living in a swamp area. When it rains lots, if you notice, you go outside and it's wet in some places, in that little places, you know, and you step.
All of these spruce trees you're looking at in front of you here, they belong here because of the muskeg. These are black spruce and they only grow in muskeg areas.
I mean, anytime you can get youth and elders, especially in a sharing, learning, nurturing environment, I think that's so good. And that youth, he's getting so much. He doesn't know it now, or she doesn't know it now, but they'll know in the future. They'll remember it. They'll remember that experience.
Muskeg. That means muskeg area.
Muskego.
Muskego.
And that means
Little vowels like, you know. Muskego.
and that stands for muskeg area?
Yes.
They'll survive. They'll find some way. They have to. They have for thousands of years, you know. I plan to leave my bones here, you know, and the bones of my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. You know, so I have to be optimistic, I guess. There is a future. It's the best way to work at.
On the turn of the century, will we survive? Living in a fantasy.
Living in a fantasy.
What more can it be? Oh, Mother Earth, could you love me after what we have done? Look at the skies.
Look at the skies.
No bluer than gray. Tell me, is it fun hiding from the sun? Was it meant to be? Listen to the fallen tree.
Listen to the fallen tree.
It has a right to be. They whisper and they wail as they tell me of a tale. Was it meant to be?